What happens when the most loved YouTubers become the most hated? When millions of fans turn their backs on creators they once adored? In this video, we're diving into 5 massive downfalls, each more shocking than the last. Nas Daily, once hailed as the smiling face of global positivity, is now one of the most disliked creators on the internet. With over 13 million subscribers, he used to rack up millions of views with each upload, but today, most of his content struggles to break 100K, and every new post feels like a reminder of how far he's fallen. What started as a feel-good brand and exploring unique cultures, sharing inspiring stories, and uniting people from around the world has turned into a textbook case of ego, exploitation, and tone-deaf missteps. And unlike creators who lost their audience overnight, Nas's downfall was slow, messy, and completely self-inflicted. It all started with good intentions, or at least that's how it looked. Nas built his brand by uploading short daily videos from every corner of the world. His enthusiasm was infectious, his messages hopeful, but behind the feel-good storytelling was a pattern. Nas often inserted himself into cultures he barely understood, turning sacred traditions into bite-sized entertainment. One of the most damaging examples, his infamous collaboration with 103-year-old tattoo artist Apo Wangad in the Philippines. Nas promoted a tattoo course featuring Wangad on his own education platform, claiming she signed off on it, even showing her thumbprint on a contract. But her family came forward, claiming she never understood the agreement and had been misled. The backlash from the Filipino community was swift. Instead of admitting fault, Nas doubled down with a tone-deaf defense that included the phrase, 40% of our team is Filipino, which only made things worse. Critics compared it to the old "I have a black friend" excuse, using someone's identity as a shield from accountability. But that wasn't the only controversy that stained his brand. A Filipino farmer named Louise accused Nas of belittling her work and scrapping their video because it wasn't entertaining enough. And as public sentiment was still crashing, Nas turned to a new shady trend, crypto. In a now deleted video, he called Sam Bankman-Fried the most generous billionaire, and later uploaded another video praising Binance founder CZ as the most humble. Neither of these were disclosed as sponsored content, but in a podcast slip-up, Nas admitted many of his interview subjects did pay for the exposure.
So sometimes the characters that are in your video are actually paid sponsorship.
Sometimes, yes.
Do you say that in the video?
So it's actually like less than 3% of the content. And we do not say that because, well, one, in the post, it's when we say thank you to XYZ, blah, blah, for making this possible. 2, it's like we don't live in America, so you don't actually have to say it.
Oh, different rules.
Turns out the crypto kings he hyped up were at the center of massive fraud cases. One is now serving 25 years in prison, and Nas, he cashed their checks and smiled for the camera. The real breaking point, though, came when Nas tried to tackle religion and global conflict and completely missed the mark. In a video titled "I studied Islam for 1 month and lost all my hair," Nas reduced a sacred tradition to a clickbait punchline. The Muslim community was outraged, not just at the title, but at the blatant misinformation inside the video. Then came his video on Israel and Palestine, a subject deeply personal to him as someone of Palestinian descent born in Israel. But instead of taking a stance, he played both sides for views. Viewers weren't having it. To make it worse, an old off-camera clip resurfaced where he was caught cursing out Israel, directly contradicting his later neutral messaging.
What you said? F Israel, sir. We love Israel. We love Palestine. No, we don't love Israel, my boy. We don't. Free Palestine, motherfuckers.
People saw right through it, and the backlash was brutal from both Israelis and Palestinians. At the root of it all is Nas's ego. He inserts himself into every narrative, acts like the savior of every story, and refuses to accept criticism, even when it's fair. When confronted in real life by another YouTuber about working with the World Economic Forum, Nas ran away, interrupted interviews, and threw a tantrum on camera. This wasn't a creator facing hard questions. This was a man unraveling under the weight of his own hypocrisy. Today, Nas Daily is a shell of what he used to be. His videos flop, his audience is gone, and his once beloved brand has become a cautionary tale. He had a global platform built on storytelling and connection, but in chasing profit, power, and praise, he disconnected from the one thing that mattered most, the truth. And on the internet, that kind of betrayal is impossible to come back from. Haley Welch, the internet's hawk Tuah girl.
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk and spit on that thing, you get me?
was once seen as a lovable, meme-fueled icon who turned viral fame into real opportunity. With a booming podcast, a growing fan base, and all eyes on her next move, Haley had the internet in the palm of her hand. But what followed wasn't growth. It was greed. Instead of building something real, she cashed in on the hype, launching a cryptocurrency called Hawk Token that ended up looking like a textbook pump and dump, while she claimed it was for the fans. Offering merch deals, podcast access, and charity promises, the token was poorly structured, shady from the start, and ultimately cost her community millions. When things fell apart, instead of owning up to her role, Haley disappeared. Then months later, she popped back up with a carefully planned comeback interview, one that was supposed to make her look like the victim, crying on camera, deflecting blame, and surrounding herself with crypto influencers who vouched for her innocence. Haley painted the picture of someone who was just misled. But as CoffeeZilla,
today we're breaking down the Hawk Tuah scam,
YouTube's most feared scam exposer, dug deeper, it became clear Haley wasn't just unaware. She was involved. Contracts showed she was set to make hundreds of thousands, plus a large token share, and even her own lawyer couldn't explain who was really running the project. To make things worse, her team allegedly leaked the interview on purpose to create hype. And coincidentally, the coin's value spiked again before being dumped. Even after all this, Haley didn't back down. She tried to go back to business as usual, dropping a new episode of her podcast with none other than KSI. But this wasn't the comeback she hoped for. It was awkward, empty, and completely carried by the guest. Fans saw right through it, leaving comments about how checked out she was and how far she'd fallen. Another episode followed, and the results were even worse. View counts dropped, criticism piled up, and someone summed it up best in the comments. She tasted internet success, ruined it with a scam, and now she's chasing 10,000 views until she gives up and starts an OnlyFans. Haley Welch had everything: fame, attention, and trust. But in her rush to monetize it all, she scammed her audience, fumbled the trust, and now she's a perfect case of what happens when you mistake viral fame for immunity. The internet gave her a platform, and now it's watching her crash. There are YouTubers who make mistakes. Then there's Blair, better known as Illuminati, someone who didn't just burn bridges, she nuked the whole city. Her downfall wasn't some accident or drama she stumbled into. It was the result of deliberate manipulation, verbal abuse, and legal warfare she waged against her friends, employees, and even her ex-partner. For years, Blair used intimidation, contracts, and the legal system as weapons to keep people quiet. But all of it eventually collapsed under the weight of her own ego. It all started when she falsely accused Legal Eagle's team of plagiarism, a move that backfired almost immediately. What followed was an avalanche of former collaborators coming forward, ex-employees, content partners, and even her ex, Oz Media, who detailed disturbing emotional abuse and controlling behavior. The more she tried to paint herself as the victim, the more the internet saw her true colors. And when Blair decided to file a lawsuit against Oz and others, many saw it as nothing more than an attempt to legally silence those who spoke out. The case dragged on for over a year, draining time, money, and patience from everyone involved. But in the background, something changed. Blair, once powerful and protected by a massive audience, was now alone. Her videos stopped, her income dried up, her Patreon barely 26 supporters, her views at rock bottom. So when December 2024 rolled around, she finally gave in. Through third-party mediation, she dropped the lawsuit. No one won, no one lost. And thanks to a non-disclosure agreement, neither side can talk about it. But we don't need their words. We already saw the truth unfold in real time. Some people wanted more. They wanted Oz to fight until the bitter end. They wanted a courtroom victory, a public reckoning, but Oz chose peace. He chose to move on and leave the toxicity behind. And honestly, who can blame him? After years of dealing with her manipulation, walking away is the real win. As for Blair, she might have avoided the courtroom, but she couldn't escape the court of public opinion. Her once thriving channel is now a ghost town. Her name, once respected, now sits right beside YouTube's most hated figures. And any chance of a comeback? Practically zero. She burned every bridge, betrayed every ally, and turned her fan base into her harshest critics. So while this legal saga might have ended quietly, Blair's reputation didn't just take a hit, it completely collapsed. Jake Doolittle is the perfect example of how to burn it all down twice. He had it, a fast-growing channel, a loyal fan base, and a content niche that actually mattered. He wasn't just another commentary YouTuber, he was exposing plagiarism, fake personas, and shady influencers with receipts. From working with Charli D'Amelio to shooting for Justin Bieber, Jake had credibility and a voice. But all of that came crashing down the moment he dropped what many now call the worst hit piece of 2023.
As a viewer of the podcast, if I were to stand back and watch Ethan lie, saying certain things about his health that are just straight up misinformation. Ethan Klein claimed to have lupus, made money off of it, and then admitted that he made everything up and self-diagnosed himself. But when the health problems that Ethan Klein is talking about are completely self-diagnosed with zero symptoms, you have to ask yourself, why is he doing this?
His video targeting Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast, framing himself as a warrior for the chronically ill.
This morning I thought I had cancer for sure, I'm not gonna lie. I had weird blood values. I just did the whole blood work to test my cholesterol and stuff, was fine. My white blood cells and platelet counts were high. A lot of this stuff has to do with like leukemia.
Jake accused Ethan of faking a lupus diagnosis for sympathy and donations, even claiming Ethan profited off fake health scares and misled his fans. The video wasn't just controversial, it was vicious, and the backlash was instant. Ethan's community wasn't having it. What followed was a public takedown on H3's live show that left no doubt Jake's attack wasn't about helping others, it was personal. He had once asked Ethan for a job. Ethan declined. This video, it was revenge, badly disguised as concern. But surprisingly, Jake survived. After the internet dogpiled, he stepped back, apologized, sort of, and returned to what he did best: commentary videos that actually had value.
My intention was to stand up for a specific group of people, but instead I came across as an asshole. I didn't consider how my words would affect others, and for that I'm very sorry. And so for the discomfort or hurt that it caused, I also apologize. I also sincerely want to apologize to Ethan for not considering his health anxiety. I took it as a completely different thing, and that only fueled my anger in the process.
For a while, it looked like he was back on track. He proposed to his girlfriend. He launched a charity called Never Stop, designed to support people with chronic illnesses. He had another shot, and then he ruined it all again. In December 2024, Jake uploaded a video titled "I'm Frustrated with Commentary YouTubers," but it wasn't about drama or abuse in the community. It was about why nobody was donating to his charity. The video was essentially a guilt trip wrapped in clickbait. He called out unnamed creators for not giving money. He hinted at naming names if people didn't donate. He even accused other YouTubers of being ignorant for not knowing they could deduct donations from their taxes. The worst part, he admitted on camera that he made the video out of pettiness.
Because I'm petty, because this isn't about supporting me, it's about supporting people who need the support. But there has been no YouTuber who has ever inquired or donated any money to Never Stop. I've actually even sent merchandise, but these YouTubers cannot give $500 in a one-time payment out of their 50 grand that they're making a month. And by the way, all of this you can write off on your taxes. I don't know how many times I have to say this. These are people who are getting a shit ton of money and will not know what to do at tax time. And this is a way to offset that fucking tax bill. I am going to name names at some point, possibly next month or so, if my following up with these people amounts to nothing and I keep getting ghosted.
What started as a noble cause quickly turned into a public display of entitlement. His audience, the same one that gave him a second chance, turned on him instantly. He deleted the video within 24 hours. But instead of stepping away, Jake went live the next day from his phone and doubled down, talking about his 10th knee surgery, his chronic pain, and how unfair everything felt.
It was about like Never Stop and trying to grow that, and how I feel like there's been no support. And I think, I don't know, people took it differently. I feel like I can't, because I personally can't handle like the backlash. But what I would love is just any kind of break so that I can focus on healing. That'd be nice. I'd really love to just have my surgery, have my fucking scans, and not have to worry about this, please. I would like that, please.
Once that would have earned him sympathy, but this time his viewers had had enough. One comment summed it up perfectly. "We don't care about your health. You tried to blackmail people into donating to you." Then came his final response video, nearly 30 minutes long, titled "Addressing Everything." But it didn't fix anything. He avoided the real issues, refused to take full accountability, and tried to keep going like nothing had happened. The same audience that once supported his recovery and cheered on his second chance now watched him fall back into the same hole he just climbed out of. And this time, no one's reaching down to pull him back up. Jake Doolittle had 2 lives on YouTube, and he blew both. First, by letting personal resentment fuel a reckless attack. Second, by turning charity into a weapon. There's no third act waiting this time. His channel may still be up, but the trust is gone. And in the world of commentary, once you lose that, it's game over. BlasphemousHD went from pulling millions of views per video to barely cracking a few thousand. A shocking fall from grace that was entirely self-inflicted. Once hailed as the golden standard for reaction content, Maurice Blasphemous Barnett had a unique formula. He didn't just sit in the corner and watch. He paused, analyzed, reacted, and genuinely entertained.
I'm out! No! Ow! God damn! Dude, I feel for the cameraman on that one. His was like this close from getting tail whipped.
His larger-than-life personality and explosive humor made him a daily watch for millions. But today, he's more known for awkward silences, emotionless chuckles, and recycled TikToks than the electric content that once made him a fan favorite. The downfall didn't come from a single controversy. It came from a slow, painful collapse triggered by ego, betrayal, and a complete loss of self-awareness. At the peak of his career, Maurice ran multiple booming channels and even formed a content group with close friends like Chavez, Skitten, Dr. Girlfriend, Randy, Brandy, and others. They had chemistry, they had momentum, and they had a bond that fans loved. But instead of nurturing that foundation, Maurice torched it all. It started with cheating on his girlfriend of 5 years, known to fans as Dr. Girlfriend. When she found out, she left him, and what followed was years of silence until Chavez and Skitten finally revealed the truth. Maurice had been unfaithful for 3 of the 5 years, and worse, tried to twist the story by accusing Skitten of cheating, a lie that didn't hold up when Dr. Girlfriend herself appeared in a video and confirmed everything.
What is the reason that you and BHD broke up?
Well, he cheated on me with multiple different women.
How long were you together again?
Almost 5 years.
And how many of those years was he cheating on you?
About 3 of those.
Oh, 3 you say?
And if that wasn't enough, Maurice later monetized the controversy, offering his response video behind a paywall on his website.
Look, so with the whole Dr. Girlfriend stuff, I'm gonna tell y'all why I cheated. Like, for real, for real. I've studied some psychology on manipulative people, and this is what they do, bro. They get you to a place of depression. They beat you down psychologically and then feed you with scraps, give you a little bit of taste good, right? Because she was depressed. So yeah, I went and got a different chick. I like a month into sexlessness with Dr. Girlfriend because she's
confirming the cheating while blaming her depression for his infidelity. He portrayed himself as the victim while dismissing any responsibility for what he'd done. As if the betrayal of his girlfriend wasn't enough, he proceeded to burn bridges with every friend and collaborator he had. Skitten, Chavez, Brandy, Randy, one by one, they all stepped away from Maurice, citing his manipulative behavior, petty retaliation, and refusal to take accountability. Brandy, his former editor, shared stories of being underpaid, emotionally manipulated, and forced into uncomfortable content. Randy backed it up and exposed even more, including allegations that Morris supplied alcohol to underage girls and made wildly inappropriate advances under the guise of jokes.
He asked me to quit my job to come edit, and I didn't do that. I took some time off. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not getting paid for my job, and I can't just go back because I already have this time, and you're cutting my pay. So he cut my pay. Then right after that, he fired me because he got mad. And then he didn't pay me that last week that I was there. And I was like, can I just get that last week? And he's like, no, because you're fired. Like, you don't get that. And I was like, okay, but I already worked for that.
right.
And you're firing me now, so you have to pay me what I've already worked for. That's not how that works. You can't just fire me and say, you don't get anything now. Also, I like how he says, I wasn't buying alcohol for you underage. and then he says, y'all was like 18 or 19? That's underage. Can't drink until you're 21, sir. So
no, what he means is legal age for sex, because he kind of knew where this was going. Well, he knew where this was going, and he tried to like hurry up.
It already went there. I was 16.
Right. Okay.
And the other girl that was there was 14. One was 18 or 19. When we were drinking, like it was definitely once we started drinking and stuff, he was tickling her a lot. Then he would come over and like play with us and like.
But it doesn't stop there. In one of the most disturbing moments, Brandy and Randy heavily implied Maurice was involved in something much worse, dropping hints of behavior that, if true, is outright criminal. They didn't say it directly, likely for legal reasons, but their words were enough for fans to connect the dots and walk away for good. With his friendships destroyed and his reputation in ruins, Maurice still could have salvaged his career by doubling down on quality content. But he didn't. He became lazy. Gone were the loud, animated, and insightful reactions that made him famous. Instead, he filled his channel with low-effort try-not-to-laughs and awkward giggles over Family Guy clips. His main channel with 2 million subs was eventually banned for copyright and hate speech, and instead of evolving, he just kept uploading to his second channel, hoping no one noticed the difference. But people did notice. The audience left. Even the most loyal fans couldn't ignore how far he'd fallen. Comments flooded in, mourning the old BHD, not the man he had become, but the creator he used to be. Worse yet, Maurice didn't grow from the backlash. He doubled down. In late 2024, he was accused of threatening another YouTuber with acid water in his Discord server, dragging his name even further into the mud. Today, Maurice has nearly 1.8 million subscribers, but his videos barely get 10,000 views. The numbers don't lie. His content is a shell of what it was, and the person behind it has become unrecognizable to those who once supported him. Could he make a comeback? Maybe, but it would require honesty, humility, and hard work. And based on everything we've seen, he's not interested in any of those things. So if you're wondering what happened to BlasphemousHD, the answer is simple. He destroyed himself. But if you thought this was wild, just wait. Click on these videos, you'll love them. And don't forget to like and subscribe.